Debbie, what's your name?
Thank you.
Stanley.
STAND. Okay, we've got a lengthy set of minutes. Any additions, corrections?
I didn't see any. I approve this written. That's a motion.
I'll second. TJ,
Yes.
Gene,
Yes.
Mike. Yes.
Okay, second meeting of the month, we get a regularly scheduled report from the fire department. Chief Phillips is here.
Okay, report of calls. This will be from January to end of May. EMS calls, we had 217. Last year we had 203 calls at the same time. Fire calls were 160. Last year was 143. Total calls were 377. Last year was 346. We're up a little bit again. Mutual aid was 73. Last year was 94. Mutual aid received, that was mutual aid given, I'm sorry. Mutual aid received was 29, last year was 18. Total transports was 154, last year was 147. Total non-transports was 83, last year was 66. Total transfers to other agencies, 0, last year was 2. Total patients is 237, last year was 215. Our percentage of multiple calls was 25.919%. We had 9 back-to-back calls in May. In January to May, total occurrences were 38. That's all I have for my report.
Anyone with any questions regarding the fire department for Chief Phillips? Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move into scheduled reports. We'll start at the other end with Mike Tryon.
I really don't have anything, so I will concede my time.
Gene, what you got?
Well, I got a text from our road superintendent, Mr. Emmett Gordon, that finally the generator and transfer switch for Adam Hall should be here by the end of the week. And Hartman will be putting it in as soon as it gets here, and that we'll have to just make sure we don't interrupt anything that's scheduled down there as he makes that connection. That's about all I have.
Good to know. I just have a couple things. One is, I think we talked about it at the previous meeting, but the truck fire over on Thorpe. Minimal damage. I mean, we got a couple estimates, and it's going to be around $500. Called the insurance company and discovered that I don't know. I can't say it's an oversight because very few places do this. But we don't have any insurance coverage on roads for such things.
Well, I don't think anybody has road insurance.
No, it would be very
It would be
costly.
really,
It
really,
would be
really
very,
expensive
very,
to
very
insure the
costly.
roads, you know.
And
Unless you have
you're talking-
$500
yeah, you're
deductible
talking
for
about
each pothole, we can get everything
You're
road
talking about a
fixed.
slab of asphalt, so I mean, it's pretty hard to damage. You gotta have really
Yeah.
unique sets of. We did collect insurance money on, Mike, you probably remember this, but we had, Gene, you might have been here too, or around there about that time. Northern Ohio, or Orwell Gas, parked on one of our roads and had a gasoline spill or diesel fuel spill. Remember that?
I do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Remember that? We collected on that, but we found out that that was mostly engineer driven, and that was through their insurance guy, and they were willing to cover this because it was obvious. I think it was on.
Well, their insurance, you know, if somebody else's insurance, they would be liable because they have damaged the road, so.
Yeah, and we're somewhat gonna chase this with the truck fire, but.
Well, the main thing was, we started out that we were going to contact the individual and say that we wanted to put a claim on his
Right,
insurance.
Right.
He wasn't really receptive to that idea, and it was more along the lines of, look, you sue Ford, because I'm suing Ford too, because they burned my truck down.
Yeah.
It was a Ford, and it wasn't F-150, and it did melt. Did you see the pictures?
I did.
Yeah, if your car starts to burn, get out. Just tell me. Yeah, apparently we looked it up, the melting point of aluminum is about half of that of steel. And if you do look up F-150 fires, most of them, that by the time it's done, there's nothing left but the frame and the wheels.
They have a lot of magnesium in them today, today's still.
I got a lot of magnesium in me, chief. Both
Look at your
hips are
muscles.
magnesium.
Careful around bonfires.
Don't drink a lot of water, that's for sure.
So it's a good note that it melts.
Yeah, the problem is it's allergic to water though, when it's on fire.
Yeah, but I don't think we're gonna go after him and his insurance company for $500 because,
Maybe we should go after Ford if we get more, they just,
yeah, we can do a class action suit, have him replace all our roads.
yeah. I'm not magnesium, I'm titanium, my mistake.
In the more generator news, problems at the road department, did you hear about that? Is that
No.
one again? Yeah, it's another service call.
That's what knowledge you had the other day?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's when we discovered it. Yeah, wouldn't start. Had another service call. Some parts that were on back order. I think Emmerich told me came in. I didn't talk to him today. Obviously he was off. So that was late last week. This thing's been. Did you guys have problems with that? This is when we bought. When we added on the station, you get the bigger generator, correct?
Right,
We took the old one.
right.
Down to the road department. Do you guys have issues with that?
Yeah, it's
been-
issues, but nothing major.
Yeah, this has been chronic, and I'm not saying we
Well,
need.
how long have we had it now?
Well, we built the fire station, so,
I think they do a little bit better with butt-back servicing it too. If you had the other company servicing it, they didn't impress me, to be honest with you.
when you see Emmerich next time, would you mention that? Just tell him,
Okay.
you know, this has been chronic, this is,
So that generator?
yeah, with the road department generator.
Well, first they tried telling me it was a gas issue, and then the guy put gauges on it, it wasn't a gas issue. They had plenty of pressure. Oh, it was something in one of the circuit boards he found, I guess.
Yeah, we had problems over the winter with it, and this was just, yeah, recently here. We had an outage that showed up again, so, pretty much every time you need it. Yeah, I'd like to get the bugs out of that somehow. And the rest of my stuff is gonna be down further on the agenda, so what do you have, Mr. Matsko?
Okay. First of all, I processed, since our last meeting, 6 electronic payments, 26 warrants, for a total of $101,872.12. I put a copy, I don't know if you've seen this, but do we have a levy expiring? I put a copy in each of your pamphlets. It's budget time, I'm finding out so I have to have a budget in place by the end of this month. So I'm going to probably schedule a budget hearing for 15 minutes prior to our next meeting, which the board's going to have to approve, and then I send it to the,
Yeah, I believe that has to be done by the 15th, right?
yes. So instead of calling a special meeting,
Yeah.
we could do it prior to the next one. So I need to have an ad in the paper by next Thursday advertising that meeting.
You wanna do 7 or 7:30 or 7 or 7:15?
7:15,
15 minutes adequate?
should be.
All right,
That'll be at the next meeting,
Joni seemed to.
prior to the next meeting.
prior to the next meeting.
Okay, I'll make a motion along those lines.
Okay, next meeting is gonna be July 10th.
Yes.
That gives us enough time.
Then I'll make a motion along those lines to hold that hearing at 7:15. Second?
I'll second.
TJ,
Yes.
Gene,
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Okay. So, part of the revenue report I got from the county states for the 2024 tax budget that this 1 mil road improvement levy, first voted in 2005, is expiring. I mean, I don't know any, are you guys familiar with this at all?
Yeah, one thing I see your note there at the bottom, that you can put it on for renewal a year early. We did that 2-3 years ago. What that does, that just cancels out the last year of collection and puts it on a different cycle. That's how we ended up with 2 levies on the same ballot. I really want to avoid ever having that again. So that's worth checking into. We don't want to accidentally renew this one and have its expiration match up with somebody else's expiration. You understand that? They're 5-year levies, but if you run them early for renewal, you essentially cancel out the last year of that 5-year levy and put it on a different cycle. That was a mistake we made, and that's how we ended up with 2 levies on the ballot last fall, I believe. It gets confusing. I mean, we've always, the board, I think, strive to have it as much annual as possible. The voters get a chance to tell us what they think of our road program. You know?
Well, this says it expires tax year 2022, last collection 2023. According to our records, the following levy expires tax year 2023. So there's 2, is that 2 separate levies, and the last collection 2024?
I'll give with, this was thoroughly discussed last year. A lot of discussion about this last year.
Yeah.
So Nancy's pretty familiar with that issue, and let's pursue that. I don't want to end up with 2 levies expiring at the same time again.
So we put that on in 2024?
Well, we'll put it on whatever it's appropriate, so we don't end up with 2 levies expiring at the
Right.
same time again. I think we're gonna have that issue with the ones that were replaced last year. So at that point, we might want,
Yeah, because we had one that was supposed to go in
yeah.
the year before in November, and we pulled it out to May due to some timing issues.
There was, yeah. I think there was some mistake made with the previous fiscal officer.
Yeah, it was just, Daley said it was just,
Yeah.
missed the time frame.
Well, I was just bringing this up
As
because I
long as
didn't
we
know.
don't miss it.
Yeah.
This is-
No, we won't miss,
lose
we
I
it.
didn't
won't
wanna
miss it.
Miss a deadline.
Yeah,
or
we won't
something.
miss it, but let's not commit to that yet, just to make sure. And my intention would be to replace it. Any other thoughts, or not? To renew it.
Renew
Yeah.
it, right.
Yeah, just renew it. You don't have to do a replacement.
And those were renewals last year, if I misspoke, right? All right, Dan, we'll follow up on it, but thank you for bringing that to the attention.
Okay, in addition, let's see, I'll wait on that. I was absent at the last meeting. I attended a Ohio Association of Public Treasurers Conference, and it was a pretty long week. I attended 15 different classes. They were all, majority of them were 2 hours long, and they ranged from eliminating paper warrants to automation to budgeting basics, information on grants, investing, capital planning, a lot on fraud, communications, public relations. There was our own Frank Antonucci from the county did a 2-hour class on security controls. And there was one on public finance, investing, banking, and Ohio ethics. So it's quite a jam-packed week full of some very good presenters, and it was well worth it. And finding out it's required 3 years in a row to attend this conference, the week-long conference, to get certified, and then after that you attend just the last 2 days to maintain your certificate. After 3 years you can get a certificate. Yeah. So, and then all the time I put in gets logged into their website, and so by law, by the Ohio Revised Code, I'm supposed to take so many credit hours a year. So.
They don't make that job easy, do they?
No, but I'm learning a lot. Finally. And let's see, what else do I have? We paid some bills for late penalties and fines to the IRS a few months ago for not filing our employer's withholding quarterly tax, and they gave us a refund. I think we paid a little over $20,000 a few months ago, and we got one check for refunded $5,365.60, and another check refund of $5,765.45. So apparently they may have decided that they would refund the penalties, fines that we incurred. So
That's good news.
yeah. So. And again, like I said, I'll be starting on the budget here shortly. There's some mention about, future vehicle purchases.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that as under the new business there.
Hold on.
Yeah.
All right, that's all I have.
Thank you, Dan.
I'll have a resolution, but after this, you do the one.
All right, under old business is this kinetic with the phones at the road department. And this is to coordinate with this phone system up here. Nancy gets a call, it's road related, she push a button and get Emmerich, and I have to give a different number. It's internet based, which Emmerich was always hesitant to do, but pretty hard to, there's repairs to be made there, and parts are no longer available. The company that installed it is no longer in business. So this just gets everything kind of into the same system.
Is this with Windstream?
This is Kinetic Business, which, I don't know, they change their names all the time.
It's Windstream, isn't
I think it used to be.
Oh,
It's
Kinetic.
Windstream. Kinetic is Windstream.
Kinetic,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because they're having some real issues, I can tell you.
They all are. But, and we are too in the road department with the phones. So we're gonna go with this internet-based system, office suite, internet phones and paging system. And the quote is for $135 for a one-time installation charge. I think that's what we were waiting to hear 2 weeks ago, that's why we didn't do it then. And it's gonna be at $119.35 per month after that.
I think that's a pretty good deal.
So I'll make a motion to go with this Kinetic phone system.
I'll second.
PJ,
Yes.
Gene,
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
Okay, into new business, we opened crack seal quotes, got 2 of them, which was kind of a new phenomenon. At our last meeting, Emmerich did a thorough vetting of this company. They've done some work in the area up here, and they were slightly less than our usual contractor, but he's confident that this company's capable and willing, and will be easy to work with, so I'm gonna make a motion that we accept the quote and award the contract for this year's crack seal program to Scodeller, I could have that pronunciation wrong, Construction
How
Incorporated.
do you spell that?
Did those go back to the county? Did they look at it?
County doesn't, this is our
They don't care,
in-house, this is
okay.
our in-house program.
How do you spell that?
I'll second.
Good God.
We do the same procedures.
Right.
Are they bonded, and then we do the background checks.
TJ?
Yes,
Gene?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
I probably should have, I'm gonna include that, for a maximum of $42,995. That's what we do every road,
42,995.
yes.
As we do it by the road so that,
We do,
depending on budget, we can, if we don't have the full 42 available, we can hand select whatever roads needed.
we can
Most.
edit per road, because they quote it per road, which has worked out very well, because we've done some editing over the years. This year with the contract for asphalt resurfacing coming in $100,000 under estimate, we're looking good. So hopefully do the whole program. All right, so Gene, Mike, Dan, you guys, I think have been aware of this, that over the years, going back to even before I was a trustee, the township would always, habitually, what we would do is borrow, take a 4-year note to purchase a truck snowplow. Kind of always had them on a cycle where we got used to that payment. We had a fund actually set aside for that called debt service back in the day. We're back to that system now with debt service. Of course, we've got some debts on the buildings that we've done too. But at any rate, so this year, with the ARPA money, I think it was around New Year's, we talked to Dan and Fred was around yet too then. With the ARPA money, we're gonna pay for the cab and chassis with ARPA funds, because trucks were so available, they're kinda like hen's teeth, so we didn't wanna let it sit on the lot while we negotiated a loan. So we paid for the cab and chassis, it's here. The intention was, and the bank was fine with this, to get that 4-year loan for the build out of the truck, which is essentially around $100,000. Bank was good with it. We sent the contract and the bank papers up to our prosecutor's office, and our assistant prosecutor says, whoa, townships cannot borrow money for road equipment. Cannot borrow money for road equipment. And after about a month now, or 6 weeks of since when, because we've been doing this for 30 years that I know of.
Yeah.
And there's other townships that also have been found to be doing the same thing. No, I guess it's black and white in the ORC that counties can do that, they can borrow money for trucks, but townships cannot.
The only thing you can do is lease, or lease with the option to buy.
I don't think we've ever done that.
I don't think we have either.
You have to have something, these smaller townships that have a, $750,000 budget, if they're gonna buy a $250,000 plow truck, So I guess the lease option is what these people have to go for.
And well, we had plenty of discussions with the bank, and the agent that was working with us sent it to his legal department. I says, you guys aware you've been making illegal loans to us for the last 20 years? Because they're not legitimate, but that it's how we've done business, and we're not the only ones. Anyway.
Can we go back and
Is this
regular
very
payment?
clear in the IRC?
Yeah, I had the number, actually.
Can we try to get our
Is it
paper on it?
ORC or is it administrative code?
It's the ORC. It clearly says that counties can, I don't remember the phraseology or the term, but counties can borrow money, as we've just described, but
Yeah.
townships cannot.
So what are we supposed to do in the future?
Well, here's what we're gonna do tonight. We still have ARPA money available, I think it was around $200,000. I'd be in favor of finishing this truck purchase. It's gotta come from somewhere.
No, I would agree.
Yeah, we don't have much
Yeah,
choice,
it's
do
gotta
we?
come from somewhere. We're anticipating the equipment to be finally delivered next month. Hopefully have it trucked by this winter. I don't know if the weather for the start, but sometime this winter. It's, must be on the proverbial boat in San Diego. But we're hoping that comes in next month and they can start the build out. Dan, you need to cut a purchase order for this,
I have,
to lock that in,
you signed.
to lock in that price.
And you're gonna.
So anyway, this is the point we're at. It's probably imminent, hopefully imminent, that the equipment will be here and they'll start to work, so we gotta have the money. That's my thought as we do this with the rescue plan funds.
So the first part of the truck would cost how much?
First part of the truck was 114,
And the second part of the truck is 102.
102?
Well, that doesn't bode well when we need a new truck, does it?
No, it doesn't, and that'll be, once we, if we agree to, if the board agrees to do this tonight, we gotta have a discussion pretty darn quick here
Yeah.
about setting aside funds
Yeah, 102,860.
annually.
So much for the land acquisition fund, huh?
Yeah,
Get
yeah.
a truck
Really?
acquisition fund.
We're gonna have to
Put a
pinch.
levy on for a truck?
We're gonna have to pinch something. Emmerich and I were talking probably to the tune of like 75 grand a year
Yep. Well, there goes the
to stay on
pickleball
that
courts.
replacement schedule with the 4 or 5 trucks.
Well, we should be okay because we don't have to make any payments now.
That's true, that's true. For the first 4 years.
Self-correcting.
For the first 4 years anyway.
Makes it virtually.
Because the ARPA money's not
It's
coming.
virtually free.
Okay, the ARPA money's not coming anymore, so this is the one time I guess we do get away with this. But yeah,
Wow.
we've got to
That's-
set up a.
You're absolutely right, this is gonna put the hurt on a lot of townships.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, because that.
Or we could just go back to being illegal.
Well,
It's not a,
Be probably something to bring up at the next township meeting.
yeah, in some alternate universe that we don't send that contract to that loan paperwork up to Christie, do we get this done anyway? I think we did.
I think we
would've.
did too.
Well, if we've been doing it for 40 years and none of us have
Yeah.
gone to jail yet.
I think we would have. But,
And why did we send this up to Chrissy again?
I did.
Way to go, Dan.
Well, I sent everything up to her, I didn't know.
Sure, start doing stuff right now.
Yeah, jeez. Well, there goes your bonus.
Yeah, right.
all right, so
So
you
how do I
have,
look up that ORC?
yeah, I had this written down somewhere.
I'll get it for you. Want me to get it now or after the
Well,
meeting?
no, after
Get
the
it,
meeting
yeah,
is done,
later.
I
All
just,
right.
yeah, I
I've
mean,
got it
that's,
handy.
Jesus. That makes no sense.
All right, so without reading this entire ARPA resolution that we have been doing,
What would we have done if we didn't have the ARPA funds?
I think, well, first
We
of
had
all.
half a truck.
First of all, that crack seal program probably didn't get done.
Yeah, Chinese were just helping us out, keep money around.
Okay, and this is the ARPA resolution as it pertains to the standard allowance. So I'm gonna read the back end of this, which is the part that's not boilerplate.
So let's hurry on the roll on that one.
Boy.
Whereas some common examples of government services identified by the Treasury in the rule and are in the coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds overview of the final rule are as follows, and ours is number 1 on the list: road building and maintenance and other infrastructure. So that's where it fits. Now therefore, it is hereby resolved by the board that the township elected to use the standard allowance by way of resolution, this resolution, 2022-13, in its presumption of revenue loss due to the public health emergency, and to use the amount authorized herein to fund government service. Project is hereby authorized and shall be paid for from the ARPA funds in the amount not to exceed $102,860. Project described herein serves the objectives of the act by providing services traditionally provided by government, namely road repair, maintenance, and other transportation and safety services. Project is in the best interest of the township and is deemed a priority for the community. No obligations paid under the authority of this resolution were incurred prior to March 3, 2021. I will make the motion in favor of this resolution.
I'll second.
PJ,
Yes.
Gene,
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
Okay, and to piggyback that, we need to appropriate the funds, so I have resolution 2023-21 for supplemental appropriation. Be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of Auburn Township, Geauga County, Ohio, that it is necessary to adopt the following: $102,860 supplemental appropriation to the ARPA fund, account 2273-30-750 for motor vehicles to finish build-out of snowplow package for truck 16. Okay, I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to adopt that.
Second?
I'll second. So what, we're on a 4-year schedule with trucks, so. we have
PJ?
to-
Yes.
Gene?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Well, we're on,
When's the next truck to be replaced? We're on a program,
yeah,
right? How
yes,
often?
we are, and I can't tell you the number, because usually they refer to it as John's truck, Mike's truck, Fencer's truck, yeah. I'll get with Emmerich and see where we're at with that.
So, for the purpose of the budget, I'm gonna have to investigate how to set up, how much money would the board like me to budget for per year towards a.
Well, first we have to know, how often do we replace a truck? Every 4 years, every 5 years? And then we have an idea what these trucks cost, take inflation over a 4-year period and divide it by 4, and that's how much we're gonna have to save every year.
75,000 a year.
Somewhere between 60 and 75 a
Well, I
year.
just go for the higher amount, 75,000, then let's put it at 300,000 for 4 years. That should allow for at least some inflation over the next 4 years. Maybe, who knows?
Emmerich and I said.
Could be $600,000 by the time we.
Last Friday and talked about this, he was thinking 75. And we buy a new truck about every 4 years, which means our trucks are on kind of we're looking for 14, 16 years per truck.
Don't we get something that we usually sell the truck we're replacing, you get a few bucks for that?
Yes, we have. We've gone to, back in the day, it used to be sealed bid.
I remember I auctioned off the
Yeah.
trucks at one year.
This government deals or
Yeah.
govdeals.com, which.
We actually had an auction on a Saturday,
Yeah,
and I sold it.
I was at some of those
Yeah.
over the years.
Well, maybe we'll just have to put everybody in little Ford pickup trucks that catch on fire, right?
Yeah, we can just torch it. Yep, we can do it.
Does somebody wanna make a motion for setting aside 75,000 a year?
You're gonna have to put this in next year's budget then, aren't you?
Yes.
Immediately.
Which,
I'm gonna say we have to do it, so yes. And now where's that coming from now? Probably R&B? Yeah.
Part of road and bridge, and if we can get anything out of the general fund, if we have to supplement it. Let's start with road and bridge, and we'll work our way, bring down
I
some.
mean, the intention, the money's there, it's still in the road and bridge fund, so,
you would have used that money whether you took out a loan or.
you're right. So we're not, what we're gonna have to do is scale back projects or scale back on something
And we're
else.
scaling back now because of the cost of what the projects cost. Everybody's gonna be in a world of hurt here as time goes on.
I would tend to agree. So yeah, I'll make a motion that next year's budget we set aside
I'll second it.
$75,000. That would be something we continue.
PJ?
Yes.
Gene?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Well, that hurts.
Yeah, it upsets your apple carts, the way we've been doing.
I know.
Before I
we
was
did.
here.
We were doing it
Before I was
16
here.
years ago. It's funny that all those years, nobody mentioned it.
I think it probably, if I have this figured out right, nobody's like giving me the dates that things happened, but I think it was legal. It was, townships were allowed to do this when we first started doing this, and the law changed. And somehow our prosecutor's office either wasn't involved or wasn't aware of that at some point, until now.
I'll say one thing, you give Chrissy Ryan something and she researches.
She's thorough,
She's
nothing
like a
else.
dog with a bone.
If nothing else, yeah, she's thorough.
You have PO 71, 2023 for that.
Probably be the last crack seal.
Yeah. Okay, just gonna briefly mention before we close out here that cemetery sexton Mike Ludwig received his report. He's been,
He needs to come in here. We need to talk about some of these headstones we want to get done this year.
we do.
Why don't we have him come in at the next meeting? We'll go over and he can call that company and we can start some of this. We have the money for.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think Emmerich's on vacation, so maybe I'll just
All right.
ask Ludwig to come in
Yeah.
his place. Where's that, 7:10? Okay, commission will be here 2 days from now, 3 days from now, Thursday. Fireworks are July 3rd. And then we're gonna have our parade following day. Hot dog lunch over at the station again?
Yep. Both guys are gonna be doing it. I heard our rain date's set for the 7th.
For fireworks?
Yes. That's what I heard.
We could use the rain. And we'll be here, as we mentioned earlier, on the 10th, and our regular meeting's at 7:30, but we're gonna be here at 7:15 for the budget hearing. So that's it. Anybody, any comments, questions?
Yeah, Dan, have they set, your board meeting, the auditor,
Oh, in August?
yeah, is it August or is it the end of July?
I think I have to have the budget to them by July 20th, but the actual,
But the meeting is,
with the commission is sometime in August. I've got to get that date.
yeah, I would appreciate knowing that,
I was going to call up there tomorrow and
yeah,
get that.
so, yeah, thank you.
There's some volunteers to witness these.
Anybody else? Any questions for anything township related? No, we're good.
Want to volunteer, chief? Diane, you want to be a volunteer? We need 2 witnesses.
Am I witnessing?
Motion to adjourn, or-
Not yet.
Start chip and seal.
Just one page or is it
There's 2.
There's 2 pages that have to be sent out.
Do you sign this, or you want this contract or check? Doesn't have. You want me to sign it?
Usually there's something like, funds available form.
Do I need your city college?
Not that much.
Well, that's for the senior. So that tells you the funds are available.
Yeah.
If they weren't, I wouldn't have been able to.
Enjoying the,
It's our funds.
leaving July 14th, that Friday. We'll be back on the, Sunday the 24th.
Yeah.
Is that a Sunday? The 24th?
We got it there?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
No, the 24th is Monday.
All right.
23rd, whatever it's on.
So you'll be here for the, you'll be.
Yeah, I'll be here for that, both meetings.
Okay,
That's why I said it worked out moving it, because
yeah. Okay.
I'm gonna make a motion that we adjourn then.
PJ, I have a question.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I'm Brainberg. If you've been making payments for those trucks for the road department at the tune of $4K a month-ish, or what are those payments?
It's annual payments is how they've always set it up with us.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you've already made an annual payment of $50,000 in the past, isn't that basically gonna help this situation of,
Yeah, we're used to it. We're used to it, making a payment.
yeah, once we stop making the payments, then that money we would have been making for the payments will be going into that
going
account.
right
So-
into the new
It's-
truck? So
yeah,
it's not as.
So it's not like we're making magic money, it's just,
It's something
Right.
we're accustomed to, but
And it's not like we just have to come up with that 75,000 over the year.
well, we would have had to, but for the ARPA funds, so
Yes.
now we basically paid cash for this truck, so now we don't have to pay for this truck, so.
which took us off of this particular truck cycle to 4 years from now. We gotta be ready to replace something else. I'm not saying we're replacing a truck that's 4 years old. We're usually replacing a truck that's 16 years old.
Right.
Because but along,
You know, but come accidents or breakdowns and all that kind of issue that,
yeah, well, along the ways with your comment though, as long as I've been here, Mary Ann Yu, Dennis Squire, Susan Plavkin, Fred May, and soon Fred have been before the Budget Commission, and we've had that line item in debt service, and it was never questioned, ever, ever.
maybe debt service was an ambiguous term that.
Well,
They-
no, I think they're pretty thorough, they go over this stuff, what is the debt service, and we'd say, it's payment on a truck, and not a single comment was made over the years.
Ask about that, Dan, when you're out there this year, about,
No, don't ask.
put it in the line item anyway, and see what they say.
And watch the daggers from the other townships.
Well, I mean, some things just don't make sense.
And this doesn't make a whole lot of sense, this was,
Don't send it to the prosecutor.
that's true, that's true.
Every time we get a different prosecutor, we get a different.
Suggestion would be a little bit more crooked down here, I'll get away with stuff. Yeah,
Did you adjourn us?
I made a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Okay, PJ,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Mike.
Yes.
It's a good question.
Absolutely. Come see all your smiling faces. Would be the point of being a fire department liaison.
Okay. We'll see you later, gentlemen. Take care.
That's what I'll do, take care, chief.
See you, chief. See you guys.
boss.
We have our,
Yeah. There's no
our
agreement.
criminal past. Yeah, and she should have been serving her time.
Periodically, something that I actually have to address.
We didn't lose anybody in the water.
90% of what they're dealing with is-
What they want is gone.
I just sit there. I just want to be there because I'm pretty.
Now you said it, man, jinx us.
I know, but it's, I was kind of worried about
Just
that.
thinking about today, a lot of people are out of boats today.
I'm,
One by the French Mountain.
Pretty much.
I just sit on the
Learning
beach.
Because they can go out.
wow.
You guys have a good evening.
Thanks, you too, good to see you. Good to see you.
And I'm sure you're much more diplomatic here than Jack.
Just a smidge.
Well, getting back to that, borrowing that money, it does make sense, it really, this shouldn't affect the overall budget at all.
Well, that's where I'm rolling at. It's like,
Yes.
No,
you're not-
you're right, but
You're
only,
still
but
gonna
only,
account for it.
only because of this ARPA.
Right, you gotta
Yeah.
front load it now, you're
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
self-borrowing yourself
Right,
that
but
money.
if we didn't have that,
That's
we'd be
correct,
up
but
that creek without a paddle right now.
You're gonna be saving the
You'd have
interest
half a truck.
on that
yeah, if the
loan.
South had won the war, we'd all be whistling Dixie.
And if
But
you're,
it didn't, we got the ARPA funds and
No, I don't.
we're surging forward.
Just a, thank you.
5549.2
Just fucking blind.
and .02.
I'm not worried.
Yes, we complain.
And what is
Life is good.
Life is
And
very
then
good.
.021.
Oh,
As long as I'm sitting up and taking nourishment, I feel great.
Country
No.
messages could be basically in any other township.
No, it's two, it's .02 and then there's
No, I
a
think Bailey
.02.
wasn't that bad.
So it must be underneath.
It's about 10 million.
yeah.
They were all.
I
sad.
will do that, thank you.
Oh, I
How
see.
about